Stunts.
What kind of a kid creates an invisible if?
I'm just a stunt guy!
Okay, don't worry about that. I'm not actually injured, although I did hurt my back and elbows just a little bit, but nothing too major, so I'm fine. And yeah, I know the difference in clothing affects the continuity. Alright, quick cut in here. I don't mean to interrupt things in the middle of myself talking, but I completely forgot to record this next part of what I was originally going to say in the original recording session because I completely forgot to write it down on my computer. So I'm just recording this with my phone to kind of explain, why these two movies in this, one video. And it's because this video was originally supposed to come out before my Deadpool and Wolverine, at least non-spoiler review, and also the intended spoiler review, covering all the Easter eggs and references and all that, which is still going to come out at some point, so keep an eye out for that. Which is because these two films actually involve people that were in the previous Deadpool films. So the first one, The Fall Guy, this movie was directed by David Leitch, who is not only, a former stuntman himself, but was the director of Deadpool 2.
Fall Guy is a reflection of my experience as a stunt performer.
For David to have made this a love letter to the traditional way of doing stunts, it was just beautiful.
And the movie If, stars Ryan Reynolds, and, as you guys know, he's Deadpool himself. And, I just thought that, covering these two movies, The Fall Guy and If, would be sort of like the gateway and leading up to, my Deadpool and Wolverine content that was intended for, last year. But, I got into, I had a lot of personal stuff that I had to deal with first. I had to put priority into that. It was family matter without getting to specific details. But I just thought I completely forgot to record this part in the original recording session. So I thought I'd just sort of record this part here with my phone. But anyways, that's all I wanted to say for this part. So yeah, back to the original video. The movies I'm going to be talking about in this video are from last year. But I thought this would be a good opportunity, at least for me, to try out this new backdrop that you're seeing right now. So yes, this is the backdrop that I'll be using for now on in my videos going forward. If you haven't seen my last video where I gave you a room tour of the new studio, quote unquote, where it's my new backdrop of my bedroom in Canada, then feel free to check it out in the description below. And so I'm gonna be using this from now on, and hopefully it makes things more visually interesting instead of me just being in front of a background of the movie I'm gonna be talking about. So yeah, without further ado, let's get right into it. So starting off with The Fall Guy, in an otherwise almost completely fully action-packed movie of non-stop action and stunts. The Fall Guy, directed by former stuntman David Leitch, I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his name correctly, who was the director of Deadpool 2 and Bullet Train, actually has a cool plot where it follows stuntman Cole Seavers, played by Ryan Gosling, being brought back into the limelight after a fatal accident to help work on his ex-girlfriend, Jodie Moreno, who's played by Emily Blunt, and her directional debut action film. However, this offer turns out to be a way for the movie producer to get Colt involved in a conspiracy surrounding the film's lead actor, Tom Ryder, played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, as he is the actor he's filling in for. Not gonna lie, I'll be honest here, guys. I actually did think this movie was an adaptation of the popular video game Fall Guys, which, both goes to show that I literally never played the game before, or I shouldn't even be allowed to play that game because of this stupid misconception that I'm admitting right now. Because otherwise, yeah, this movie has everything you can ask for in a big action movie, of course. Because yeah, obviously, it is spectacularly action-packed all the way through. If and when you guys get the chance to check out this movie, you'll feel rushes of adrenaline, your heart will be racing, your blood will be pumping with excitement, hype, and hysteria. You'll be entertained and will have an amazingly fun time all the way through. All the comedy lands and feels truly deserved, because unlike other comedy films, The Fall Guy, they don't try too hard to bring the comedy and the funny, so therefore the funny moments just come naturally, and therefore they were actually super funny. Oh, and also the music is one of my favorite parts of this movie. It was just so well selected for this, which makes sense considering this is an action-packed film. So the songs should get you, hyped up, dancing, grooving. But the main song they use is called I Was Made for Loving You by KISS, which it encompasses most of the music soundtrack. And I immediately recognized it from Umbrella Academy Season 2 specifically. You know, that's where I first heard it, and it's one of my favorite songs from that show. It goes to show how amazing Umbrella Academy Season 2's soundtrack was. And it plays, every few minutes in the film, so it gets repetitive. But it works so well because like it fits every single scene it's played in. Man, it's giving me more ideas for building on my own song playlists. All the practical effects, rather than heavily relying on VFX and CGI, added that much more to the overall cinematic experience and made it more engaging. And I'm a sucker for practical effects. I feel like they should be used more often whenever possible. It was as though it is real-life documentary footage, or in this case, literally BTS footage of how things go down in a real film set. You know, I got Hugo vibes from it. I don't know if you guys heard of that movie by Martin Scorsese starring Asa Butterfield. But for those interested in filmmaking, this gives you a taste and picture of what it's like. And, you know, The Fall Guys basically gave me those vibes. And, you know, makes sense considering this is a movie that, you know, that's filming a movie on set within a real film set. Hold on. Give me a sec to clear this up. Cool. But speaking of explosions, the sound effects were explosive. You know, I hope people saw this in IMAX or Atmos when it was in cinemas, because those are the best ways you can experience watching this movie. I don't think you can experience this movie the same in home media. And what makes this movie better is that this film is an achievement in and of itself, not only within the film industry, but also within film history as well, as it currently holds the world record for the most car rolls in a single film.
Logan's good.
And the stuntman that pulled it off on set, his name is Logan, so shout out to Logan, props to you, congratulations.
I knew I did a lot of roles. I had no idea how many, but I had a pretty good feeling that we did it.
Logan Holiday is being recognized by the Guinness World Record for most canon roles in a car.
Yeah, moving on, I also thought that the chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt is so radiant and strong throughout this movie that it is the icing on the cake. And I would say my only criticism of this movie is that I feel like the movie was really over the top at times, like it over-exaggerated itself. But one, it kind of knew when to not go overboard. And two, it was also kind of the point anyways. Like, if you're watching it for the first time, wherever, or if you watch it, like, expect that going in. But what I like most about this movie is that somehow, despite such an explosive, action-packed, and occasionally over-the-top movie, the movie still manages to tell a cohesive and amazing story that not only is super fun, that you can't help but keep watching what happens and as your eyes are just continuously glued onto the screen, but it actually goes deeper than expected and has its own entertaining way of conveying the underlying truths behind the type of unrecognized credibility that all stunt folk and how hard they work their asses off and how resilient they have to be able to give us the final product of the movies that we all know and love. You know, that kind of credibility, it's little to none in real life. That's the unfortunate truth.
Why me?
You're a stuntman. Nobody's gonna notice you. That's your job. No offense.
I mean, some taken.
Which to this day, even after 1 year since the movie, I continue to hope and certainly root that changes because of this movie. You know, my sincerest wish is that this movie continues to be the voice for change for all members within the stunt community, all stunt people, stunt teams, stunt crews, stunt doubles, stunt performers, stunt coordinators, and even all the action choreographers, all within the film industry, that after this movie, this enables them to finally start at least getting all the credit that they truly deserve. And a higher pay, as always, would be great. And most of all, just in general, this movie is just to say and give our sincerest thanks to all of them. This movie is a love, appreciation, and thank you letter to all the stunt community within the film industry. They continue to throw themselves on the line, risking their lives just to stand in for the main celebrity actors we mainly see on screen, but aren't there to do their own stunts, but get all the spotlight anyways. You know, the stunt people are the ones that are physically strong enough to pull off and create all the stunt work that goes into making all the big action sequences, and it is truly thanks to them. Like, without them, none of the blockbuster films that we know and love today would not have been possible. So I'm gonna raise my glass here. This is a water bottle, but still, here's to everyone in the stunt community. Cheers, guys.
We're making a movie that's an homage to stunt performers. Why don't we make sure that we're doing the best and biggest versions of those, and maybe we can break some records.
In conclusion, The Fall Guy was one of my favorite movies of 2024. It was such a fun, entertaining, exciting watch, full of thrilling, exhilarating, adrenaline, blood-pumping action. And it was a cool story which made full use of to the fullest extent. The music, the set pieces, the sound effects, just everything in this movie went so freaking hard. And ironically, it's an underrated gem. It's not as popular of a movie as I thought it would be. Like, this movie had a budget of 125 to 150 million, but only got 181 back. That's, looking at that, it looks pretty sad, to be honest. But please, if and when you come across this movie, whether it's on any streaming platform you can find it, please, I recommend you give this movie a watch, and you're guaranteed or bound for a really great time. I'm going to go ahead and get the movie 8.8 out of 10. And an A.
A few moments later.
Alright, moving on to the movie If, which is a live-action / animated fantasy family comedy film written and directed by John Krasinski about ifs, aka imaginary friends for short, that have been forgotten by the kids that used to imagine them as they've reached adulthood. But a young girl named Bia, played by Kaylee Fleming, and her new neighbor, played by Ryan Reynolds, both have the ability to see these ifs in real life. In the film, realizing they share the same ability, they work together to reunite the ifs with new kids, or even with their former kids who have grown up. I don't really have that much to say about it, to be honest. Like, honestly speaking, two of the main reasons why this movie got my attention in the first place is that it's not only a movie filled with CGI / 3D animated magical fantasy creatures, so I thought it was based on the children's book series, especially about a gigantic, friendly, purple talking creature. Not you. Whom I thought was solely about at first, actually. Yeah, I guess you could say I was attracted to the pretty colors of this movie, you know, just the colors. But also because of this ensemble, all-star studded cast alone. I mean, just look at the cast, man. Such a big ensemble cast for a small, simple children's film like this. It's actually pretty insane just looking back at it. You know, there's Kaylee Fleming, who was of Walking Dead fame, John Krasinski himself, Steve Carell, Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Louis Gossett Jr., Emily Blunt, George Clooney, Bradley Cooper, Matt Damon, Bridget Jenkins, Keegan-Michael Key, Sam Rockwell, even Bobby Moynihan, and of course, Ryan Reynolds. And also, I have to give a big shout out to Fiona Shaw, who you may know as Aunt Petunia from the Harry Potter films, and you know, that was the last time I saw her in anything, so the fact, like, she's still around, making films, it made me feel nostalgic seeing her again. Yeah, it's been a very long time since I've seen Fiona Shaw, and I'm glad that she's still out there. And with If, I still had a fun, calm, chill, passerby's time watching it. Like, you can go into it with no hard feelings. It's just one of those wholesome movies that the whole family can enjoy. It had some fun moments that I enjoyed and even got a chuckle out of me. And the fact that it's a hybrid movie, which we don't really see a lot of those, every day, which is a shame. But, I mean, it ain't easy, combining live action and animation / CGI at the same time. It's not easy, but even I'd be down to see more of those movies in general. But in my opinion, nothing amazed me about it, nothing groundbreaking about it either. Despite all the pretty colors and the overall wholesomeness of the movie, it's honestly just something I won't really remember in like a week tops. The story and plot of this movie itself is very simple. I'd be super surprised if anybody has any sort of trouble following the plot of this movie, unless they fall asleep. But so much so that I feel like nothing really big happened in this movie. Like, big as in anything that drives the story forward or changes the characters in a big way. Like, pretty much all the characters don't change at all by the end of this movie. They don't start off as having one type of personality and become whole new people by the end. They all remain pretty much the same throughout the entire movie. I mean, the only character I could safely say had the most complex or dynamic arc out of all the other characters is Fiona Shaw's character, the grandmother. I thought that scene of her reuniting with her If was very wholesome and quite touching. And even with Kaylee Fleming's character Bia, I feel like her character could have been so much more. Like, she had one emotional moment, one, and that was it. Like, supposedly Bia is this kind of character that starts off as quite stern moody as her father is in the hospital, so she tries to act more adult, which is understandable. But then, you know, once meeting Ryan Reynolds' character named Cal, she very quickly jumps and adapts to opening up, literally, her imagination, and that helps her overcome her difficulties. But I feel like we haven't seen enough, you know, especially of the former aspect of Bia. Like, if they developed and gave her more layers, you know, for instance, her actually disregarding her grandmother, or even being harshly cold or unreasonably cold towards the ifs and not being as quick to jump on board to helping them at first, I think I'd feel at least a bit more invested into her character then. And I also worry it'd be like a waste of potential of especially Kaylee Fleming's talents, you know, because she does have a lot of potential. Look at her performance in The Walking Dead, that'll tell you her range. Now, Mr. Furry, more plump version of Barney here, Blue, is like the main if character who was the most marketed, front and center in every poster, and has a big presence in every trailer, but yet he's only in the movie for just about, what, I think 3/5 of the movie? You know, like, it turns out he's just like every other, I don't want to say disposable, but like every other if that has their big scene and doesn't show up throughout the rest of the movie. Yeah, you have all these actors, all these A-listers, and like most of them only have like what, a few one-liners or like appear in like 1 or 2 short small scenes. That's it. And speaking of the ifs, most if not all the ifs in this movie that are like actual imaginary creatures or literally magical beings that look as though they've been actually made up of children's wild imaginations or fantasies. Spoilers ahead, you can skip to this time frame here. However, the fact that, and one of my friends pointed this out when she went to see it, the fact that Bia is somehow the only person, you know, in the film at least, whose if is literally a grown man. Her imaginary friend turns out to be Cal, Ryan Reynolds' character, who is like a clown, or kind of looks more like a ringmaster, to be honest. But yeah, I don't know about you guys, but something about that doesn't settle with me. It sounds weird. Also, why do I feel like I've come across a film like this before? You know, you got the main characters helping forgotten toys, or ifs in this case, find new owners. The characters spend a lot of time together on screen throughout most of the movie, slowly realizing or remembering how much they mean to each other. Almost had an emotional goodbye scene with Bia and her dad. They also visit a facility that houses lost toys, or ifs in this case. I don't know if that sounds familiar to you guys. Oh yeah, that's right, Toy Story 4. Only difference is that the owners can technically see them come to life. And it even has one of those scenes where the characters jump into this magical fantasy world or like this retirement house that Bia and Cal go to in the movie and spend like the whole day there and spend a chunk of the second act in it, where the joyous atmosphere changes the characters, sort of. Yeah, gone through many similar scenes like this. Like, what's that one? Oh yeah, Mary Poppins. Yeah, I know referencing these movies is a little nitpicky of me, but yeah, something that I personally spotted as someone who sees a lot of movies. But yeah, overall, whilst If is a hybrid movie that certainly can be enjoyed by kids and will be a fun, wholesome, and loving time for the whole family, for me at least, it's one of those movies that won't have a big impact on me at the end of the day, and I may forget within a week max. And I know I may be sounding harsh throughout this, since it's still a movie for little kids, but I just feel that the movie could have been so much more. You know, like the emotional scenes with Bia breaking down, reading to her father in the hospital, and her grandmother dancing with her if, are the kinds of scenes that I wish the movie had more of, even though it is still a family/kids movie. I honestly feel like most of the movie's budget went into hiring all these A-list actors and actresses for just like only a few scenes instead of investing more into making the actual story more effective and impactful for the audience. And yeah, that reveal of Ryan Reynolds' Cal character being revealed not only as an if himself, but Bia's old if, a literal grown man, instead of, you know, an actual imaginary creature like all the other ones. Thinking back to it, yeah, that was just weird and a bit off-putting, to be honest. To be fair, my friend pointed this out to me before making this review, so yeah, if it wasn't for her, this wasn't originally supposed to be in this video. But yeah, maybe the movie's just not entirely for me, you know, since I don't fall within the younger general audience demographic. But yeah, if there's one of those movies that I could just watch in my own leisure time, yeah, this will be one of them. I'm gonna go ahead and give If 5 out of 10 and a B-, or C+ actually. I mean, I can't really decide between the two. Okay guys, so like I said at the beginning of this video, the movies that I'm covering in this video right now are from like last year in 2024, so theoretically they should no longer be relevant. I actually meant to do this like, I could have done this like way earlier, but there were some personal things that came into my life that I had to deal with. So I was putting priority in that. But it was also, I thought it was also be a good opportunity, mainly to, you know, use this video to test out my new backdrop here, since it seems very befitting. And, you know, also I just want to, you know, get this video out there to give my own shout out to the stunt community. I feel like they really truly deserve it. And yeah, again, I know this movie's up in 2024, but there is another video that I originally planned out to have like out last year, especially when the Toronto Film Festival was around. But yeah, again, I had some personal things to deal with. But there is one more video I've planned that's still in the works that I plan to get out, especially when it gets towards the, you know, the Oscar season. But yeah, other than that, the main one I'm working on, and a potential second one, yeah, it's gonna be all the rest of the things are gonna be in this channel. Well, going forward, are gonna be for 2025. And yeah, I just wanted to let you guys know, whoever may be watching. But yeah, 2025 looking to be a big year for movies or TV shows in general, especially for Netflix. So I'm gonna do my best to cover most of those as much as I can. But for now, thank you so much for watching, guys. That's gonna be my time. And if you like this video, be sure to punch the subscribe button in the face, so you can tune in for more videos like this. And be sure to hammer the like button. And feel free to leave a comment on what you thought of these two movies. And please, be sure to share this around to as many people as you can, whether it's your mom, your dad, your brother, your sister. I don't care. Anybody you know who also knows about these two movies, or has heard of them but hasn't seen them yet, or are movie fans in general, that you can share it around to. I very much appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much for watching, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And I'll see you guys in line for the next one. Reynolds, roll out. Take care.